Hey, this is Kat from Red Mountain Shaman, and I share shamanic wisdom through dreams, visions, nature, synchronicities, intuition, channeling, art, music, photography, and shamanic journeys. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share what I saw on a shamanic journey last week, as well as a channeling from Yeshua and Mary Magdalene that goes into the deeper meanings of the symbolism in this journey, and my own commentary afterwards. And I might put a song in the comments at the end that has to do with all of the things that I will be sharing today. So as I entered this journey, there was a terrible storm. I was heavily protected in snow gear as I slowly trudged through the whiteout blizzard conditions. After some time, I came upon a massive great red beast hovering above me. For some reason, I was not afraid. I just put out my hands and directed my energy towards it, and it began to recede into the shadows. After this beast disappeared, I was able to move forward again. I came upon a shelter with light emanating from it. As I moved into the shelter, I saw Yeshua and Mary Magdalene there. They were standing at a stone table or altar with a menorah on it. The light was coming from the 7 flames of the menorah. As I stood there, taking in the beautiful ambiance, Yeshua and Mary transformed into ancient Egyptian beings, and there was a red sun between them, as if to join them as one. This was the end of the short but highly symbolic journey. So today I decided to ask Yeshua and Mary if they could explain this journey in greater detail, and this is what they said. I am Yeshua, God of old. I come to you this day that man might have joy and look upon the current events happening in your world with hope of a new future. I bring you the light and knowledge you are seeking. As a seeker, you shall find. My greatest gift to humanity is the implementation of wisdom in which I have shown to the world as an exercise in consciousness. I practiced many things I learned from many places. I wish for this wisdom, which has been hidden by those in power, to begin to come forth at this time. For it is within wisdom that one raises their divine consciousness and abilities. I have made my consciousness known in many cultures. Christ consciousness is accessible to the true seeker of wisdom. As this desire is within your heart, your Christed abilities develop and your wisdom emerges. As you beheld a vision of Miriam and I in our ancient Egyptian forms, we want to express that what you beheld is a true vision, as we were once teachers in earlier forms and in earlier cultures. The menorah you saw was a form of the symbol that has been taken into Judaism. This symbol came from Egypt. As Egypt became corrupted, Moses brought this symbol with him to Israel. As Moses taught his people the deeper esoteric meanings of this symbol, it became a revered symbol of the Hebrews. However, as religion came forth to bury the true wisdom of ancient Egyptian teachings, this symbol became something other than its original meaning. I taught that your body is a temple. The 7 seals are within you. The golden chalice is within you, and one can purify their temple by going to the kingdom within, or the temple within. The kingdom is within you, my friends. Learn of the tree of life. Your body is the temple. Your temple is the tree. This is a teaching that I brought forth in my earlier expression in ancient Egypt. As you ride out the storm of transformation, this will greatly assist you as you move from caterpillar to butterfly. Learn of me and you will rise to the occasion, which is the greatest shift in Earth's history. My divine feminine counterpart wishes to speak now. I am Miriam of Magdala. As Yeshua has explained, I too have had many expressions upon the earth in order to bring divine wisdom. As Isis, I gave freely of my divine wisdom and love and spiritual support of my people, for I am connected to the Great Spirit, or the fire of the sun and solar energy we called Ra. As cycles of earth ensued, the people of Egypt did fall and became lost into their ego. The ego has a way of pulling humanity out of spiritual wisdom and universal truth and law and into lower states of consciousness. This is what has happened in ancient Egypt, and this is what has happened at this time on earth. Humanity has descended once again into the fallen state of the ego and has forgotten their true divinity. The great beast you encountered in your journey is symbolic of the human ego. The ego wants power, control, division, and other fallen states of consciousness that lead to darkness. But the shadow self of humanity will begin to heal with the turn of the karmic wheel as a new era begins to come forth. Those who are not ready to heal their shadow will be able to move on to places of further learning. The places and people who carry the deepest egoic shadows are holding places of power and wealth and are still extending their influence over humanity in a way that is far away from the Christ consciousness Yeshua speaks of. The time is nearing when those who are ready to explore the deeper wisdom of Christ consciousness will find themselves living in peace, harmony, abundance, unity, and freedom. For when one is in this elevated state of consciousness, the egoic shadow side of humanity no longer have sway over you, and their grip on you is slowly released as the light within your temple expands. Those who begin to consciously expand their light and knowledge and implement it into their lives begin to act in wisdom. There will be a visible difference in the lives of those who embark on such a spiritual journey, and we look forward to guiding you as you collectively move into the light in the coming years. I am Miriam. I am Mary. I am Isis. I am the divine feminine. I am the goddess energy. I am the embodiment of the sun. I am love. I am guidance. I am that I am. I leave you in the surrounding light of the Creator. We are one, so it is. Thank you, Yeshua and Miriam. This was a lot of information that I was unaware of, so as always, I did a little research into what they're talking about. I found something of interest that was uncovered in 2009, and it's called the Magdala Stone, and it has a depiction of a 7-branch menorah on it. I also learned that Rome plundered Solomon's temple and took the 7-branch menorah with them, which is depicted on the Arch of Titus. In a meditation several years ago, I was shown these things and I was not sure why. Then I found an article called Ancient Egyptian Lamps, Lighting, Magic, and the Hebrew Menorah. In this article, the author explains that in ancient Egypt, the lighting they used was likely a type of floating wicks, which was represented by a twisted cord. This wick depicted on the hieroglyphic sign shows the cord, and it translates to the word Heka, which means magic. It is well known that these cords and ropes perform an important function within Egyptian magic. The Heka is also the Egyptian sign of the caduceus, which is two intertwined snakes representing magic and medicine, and some say it's connected to Hermes. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw this hieroglyphic sign is that it looks like DNA strands. This is just my own hypothesis, and I think most symbols have multiple meanings, but this would make sense as to the possible Egyptian origins of the earlier form of the menorah, linked to the human body. The serpent is also known to represent our Kundalini energy. The menorah's design given to Moses may have been a later representation of this Egyptian symbol, as the 6 decorative reeds he was instructed to adorn it with seem to pay homage to the Egyptian reed plant. Another fascinating thing I found was ancient stone carvings and petroglyphs depicting 7-headed serpent beings. There was one from Siberia that looks just like a 7-branched menorah as the head on a human figure. Ancient Egypt associated snakes as protection against chaos, and they were also associated with the creator god Ra. In my opinion, the later added branches were possibly introduced by religion. An article entitled "The Oldest Known Images of Hanukkah Menorahs, Not What We Know Today" states, after the Second Temple was destroyed following the collapse of the Jewish revolt in 70 CE, the sages banned making any temple implements, including 7-branched menorahs, to avoid encouraging temple practices while the temple lay in ruin. Some scholars think the 9-branched menorah emerged as a way of getting around the ban. It is interesting to note that Egyptian artifacts and petroglyphs have also been discovered in America. There is also modern-looking transportation vehicles depicted in Egyptian petroglyphs in Egypt. So I'm wondering if America was an extension of Egypt and that they were able to travel back and forth. Or perhaps some of those involved with the exodus out of Egypt ended up in America. So another thing I feel drawn to is the ancient Egyptian version of the Tree of Life. This is called the Kemetic Tree of Life. This ancient Egyptian teaching was one of the most potent symbols of knowledge and the divine plan, equivalent to the map of destiny, or what I think might represent our divine blueprint. Another description of the Kemetic Tree of Life I found is that, quote, it represents the pattern of spiritual cultivation, which enables one to envision and manifest the different faculties of the indwelling divinity and become a vehicle to allow God's manifestation on earth. I love that. In other words, once we discover the divinity within and start connecting to God ourselves, we can start bringing heaven to earth. Our body is the temple. It is the vehicle, or the Merkabah, rather than anything outside of us. The last thing I came across was a lecture by Rudolf Steiner called The 7 Initiations. This lecture echoes all of this information and seems to tie it all together. It's a very long and tedious lecture, but I'll try to quickly recap and put the link in the comments. He explains that Isis and Osiris was one of these initiations during one of humanity's earlier epochs. During this epoch, humanity was much more connected to the divine and their divine abilities. Moses was initiated into the ancient Egyptian traditions and may have transferred some of this knowledge and symbolism to the Hebrew people. After this epoch, there was the initiation of King Arthur and Queen Guinevere with the 12 Knights of the Round Table. He talks about the Golden Chalice, or the Holy Grail, in this lecture, as well as how humanity experienced a death of what it once was with the introduction of Luciferic influence. I believe one aspect of the Holy Grail is our divine abilities within our human body, or our temple being rebirthed. We experienced a death or a lowering of consciousness as we became more and more disconnected from the divine. Now, as a side note, I want to say that about 4 years ago, I was watching a movie with Michael, and all of a sudden I heard Knights of the Round Table in my mind, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the movie we were watching. The next morning, I was walking by my son's bedroom, and I heard the same phrase, Knights of the Round Table, and he was watching a comedy about that. And I just couldn't figure out what that was about. So sometimes when we get things from spirit, we don't understand what the meaning is until maybe several years later or more. So I think that that was just a foreshadowing of this information coming to light. So as we begin to shift into a new epoch, once again, these divine abilities will begin to return, and our original DNA strands will be restored as our consciousness rises, and we once again reconnect with the Great Spirit and relearn the esoteric wisdom that has been lost and hidden from us. I believe This is what will defeat the beast that I saw raging in the journey. Kimberly Palm's work dives into some of these topics as well, and I'll link her channel in the comments. She also has a new book out called Walking with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, which she wrote through her personal connection to these beings. To end this episode, I wanted to share a song that I wrote about 2 years ago, and it has some Egyptian symbolism in it, and at the end of it I added a spoken word passage from the Essenes. And it's funny because I knew nothing about the ancient Egyptian traditions except for maybe an art history class I had many years ago in college. So if you're interested in reading the lyrics and hearing the song, I'll put it in the comments, but it definitely was channeled because, like I said, I grew up Mormon and I knew nothing about ancient Egypt. So enjoy the song, and I'm sure I will be talking more about this subject in the future because my guides seem to be directing me towards ancient Egypt, and I'm seeing a lot of this around lately in the spiritual community as well. So until next time, I hope you guys have a great week, and I will make a video for you next weekend. Take care. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and press the notification bell if you'd like to be notified of my next video.